All right, man. So let's take a look at some of the videos here on the Beerdy channel. All right.
Yeah.
348K subscribers. Not bad, not bad.
These are must-see.
Yeah, 348K people who don't know anything about Bruce Lee. Beerdy Bruce Lee Central, all right?
Eating it up like
Okay.
Jello.
So now let's look at the first video. Bruce Lee's real cause of death finally revealed. 3.3 million views 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Unbelievable. Here we go.
Hey everybody, it's Beerdy here. What's going on, guys?
Did he just say his name was Beerdy? Hello everyone, it's Beerdy here.
Beerdy.
I thought he was Beerdy, but apparently he's Beerdy.
Well, it's spelled Beerdy. Oh, no, Beerdy.
That's right. Okay, let's go.
Like beer.
Okay, so today I'm gonna clarify the biggest question out there. How did Bruce Lee die? I get asked this question all the time. Every day of my life. How did he die?
Every day of his life, he gets asked this question.
By everyone.
By everyone. His mom asked him this question. His brother asked him this question. Beerdy, how did Bruce Lee die? Beerdy, please. Beerdy, please tell me how Bruce Lee died.
Mr. Beerdy.
And people have a million theories, okay? A million conspiracy theories on how he died. It's all bull.
By the way, is it just me, or is for someone named Bernard McAllister, does his accent seem oddly either Scandinavian or perhaps Finnish or Eastern European? He does not sound McAllister. Now, Mikey Dean, you might know something about folk from that region of the world, right? We would say, what is that, kind of a Scottish name, right?
100%.
100%. Beerdy doesn't sound like he's from Scotland.
Ouch. No, not in the slightest.
All right, let's continue.
Sean Connery.
It's all nonsense. I'm going to explain exactly how he died today.
Oh, wow.
We can put this discussion to rest once and for all, okay?
Finally.
Please, yes.
Okay, so
Wait a minute. But this video came out 2 years ago and people are still talking about Bruce Lee's death. So
to this day, we can't. It didn't work.
It didn't work. In fact, History Channel just came out with an episode on Bruce Lee's death. Apparently, they didn't watch the Beerdy channel. All right. And by the way, from now on, we cannot call it Beerdy. We need to call it Beerdy because that's apparently the correct pronunciation.
Exactly.
Hey, Beerdy. Hey, Beerdy. How did Bruce Lee die?
Even though he spells it beer.
He says how Bruce Lee died here 2 years ago, and he's going to put it to rest. But people are still talking about it, so I don't know. It's not looking good for Beerdy.
Maybe we should put this to rest.
The day Bruce Lee got injured, okay? He had a back injury, a spinal injury. And he got in trouble because the doctor said that you're never going to train again, you're never going to do martial arts again, etc., etc. You have to.
You got in trouble with the cops or some shit?
Yeah. Bruce had a back injury. All right. Wait. So it's true. It's like the guy knows something. He's definitely seen Dragon the Bruce Lee story.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
But then he got in trouble.
The cops came in and said, "Motherfucker."
His English really doesn't sound like he's from Scotland. All right. I'm starting to get the impression that this guy's bio might be a little bit off, right?
You know what? But in his defense, Scottish people don't sound like they have good English either.
Yeah, but what about the
better English?
backwards?
They have better English than the TFG. I'll tell you that much.
That is true.
All right, let's continue here.
Put your martial arts career on hold or permanently stop. So Bruce had a choice. He could say, okay, I'm going to step down, I'm going to relax, I'm going to get a career, another job, whatever, become just an actor.
Do you get the impression that he's just kind of looking at this photo of Bruce and just making stuff up while he's going there?
I think he's just
Bruce, well, he could get a career.
Janitor.
Right. Bruce Lee, janitor.
Or I could start taking painkillers and do physiotherapy and go back to working out. But I'm going to be in chronic pain.
He said physiotherapy because that's a very European way of saying it. I mean, that's basically how you say it in a lot of, for example, it's similar to how you would say it in German. So clearly, I'm really thinking this guy is not of Scottish descent.
For the rest of my life. And I'm going to be completely dependent on the painkillers. And Bruce Lee knew this. He's a very smart guy. So
Bruce Lee knew this, all right? He was going to be dependent on painkillers. He was a very smart guy, all right, clearly, unlike the guy who's making this video.
He knew the risks. And he went for the second option. He said that, okay, if I'm going to stay on this planet, at least I'm going to do it my way, okay?
if I'm gonna stay on this planet, I'm gonna do it my way, all right?
Frank Sinatra
regrets I've had a few.
Yeah.
But then again, too few to mention.
That's right. Now, of course, obviously, look, we're trying to do a bit of a takedown on this very phony, very fake Bruce Lee channel, and so far, besides the fact that Bruce Lee had a back injury, this is literally just conjecture, and this is one of the things that also irritates me. Well, first of all, we know that most of the stuff he's saying is fake and made up. And when you listen to his videos, you just get the impression that none of this is, he didn't put any thoughts to how he's going to say this or what he's going to say. And he never says, Robert Lee, Bruce Lee's brother, said, or he never says like, according to Linda Lee, blah, 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 blah. He's literally just saying these things like, and Bruce Lee was a smart guy. And it's like, what are you even talking? Who listens to this and goes, we need to listen to Beerdy. He's got all the hot takes on Bruce.
I'm not going to live to 80, having a boring life. His life, remember this guy, martial arts was his life, okay?
Remember that. All right. I like how he's reminding us. Okay. Remember that. Yeah. Martial arts was his life.
Arts was everything. He is the godfather of martial arts. That was his...
What? The godfather of martial arts?
Brown of martial arts.
Hit me. Too hot in the hot tub. Too hot in the wooden dummy.
Entire life. So if he stopped doing martial arts, he's dead anyway. So, I mean, the choice was easy for him. He was going to do what he wanted.
Oh, I get it. Beerdy, he's able to get into Bruce Lee's head and understand his motivations. That's the reason why he doesn't need to source any of the material from where he gets this information from.
If he was going to follow his passion, his dream, he was going to do martial arts, no matter what it took, okay? So he took that choice. I'm going to take the painkillers, and I'm going to do physiotherapy. I'm going to get trained. I'm going to get back to shape. And I'm going to get stronger than ever before. And he did all of that. But, like I said, the downside is he needed to take painkillers every day. Just to get by, the pain was so insane. This is nerve pain we're talking about, spinal injury. So,
or as Mike Tyson would say, spinal. Right?
Spinal.
Hey, how does every Mike Tyson joke start? By looking over your shoulder. All right, here we go.
The pain is incredible. So he had to take some sort of painkillers every day. But he got back in shape, and he got... he started training for 14 hours a day, people.
14 hours a day, people.
What?
Wow, this is amazing.
8.
No, I guess later it was 8 because Beerdy also has a video where he said he trained like Bruce Lee for a year and it was 8 hours a day. But hey, no, this is his getting back into shape after. So, just like I'm getting back into shape after my shoulder surgery.
So you do double the training.
Yeah, so double. Yeah, so, instead of like easing into training because he had a back injury, the same way I'm easing back into training after my shoulder surgery, you just say, F it, 14 hours. 14 hours, okay? Do you understand, Dre, that would mean he would get up in the morning, he would start training at 8 o'clock in the morning, and he would finish training at 10 p.m., all right? And so not only is this completely ridiculous,
with
all right?
the excruciating back pain.
Yeah, with excruciating back pain. He tells Linda, he gets up in the morning, he kisses his kids good morning. Brandon, Shannon, I love you. Daddy's going to have to train now with his excruciating back pain. I will see you guys tomorrow morning because you will be in bed for hours by the time I'm done with my training here. And then he goes and just starts doing reps and sets and kicks and stuff for 14 hours? Oh my God. Holy cow, what a savage. This guy, the problem is some have people that are very good liars. They can source this up. But the problem is this dude's not even trying. He reminds me of like that kid when you were 12 years old who just made up crazy stories. Like, my dad knows the president. You know what I mean?
Those were great. They were always the guys that had they lost their virginity to the girl in Canada. Right?
Yes, their girlfriend was from Canada and was super hot and everything.
Super hot, could never remember their name, and you were never going to meet them, but it definitely happened.
Definitely happened,
honestly, this guy was there.
He was there. All right, let's continue.
14 hours a day.
14 hours.
7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Holy Shinto.
I mean, in 1 year, he had compressed 10 years of workout, okay?
press that shit
Wait a minute.
into a box,
Wait a
into
minute.
square.
Wait a minute, I'm not too sure about this guy's math, all right? But I love it. It's like, in 1 year, he pressed the 10 years of the training. And like I like to tell people when they're kind of wasting my time, I spent a year here one afternoon.
So you have to remember, in 1973, when he died, he had decades of workout in his body.
I guess.
Decades of workout.
I wish
So-
I had that.
So I have a feeling then
Wish I
Beerdy
had
believes, because you know there's people out there who believe that everybody has a certain finite number of heartbeats before you die.
Right.
Yeah, and I think our former president was one of those guys, which is why he says he doesn't exercise. So let's say you only have in a lifetime, however, hundreds of thousands of beats or whatever.
So don't make your heart beat faster.
Yeah, so if you make your heart beat faster, you're basically shortening your life or whatever. So the reason why Bruce Lee died was, well, guys, he was on painkillers. He was training 14 hours a day. Yeah. And by the time he died, although he was only 32, he had decades of training. He had, like, he had lived for 3 decades, but he had at least 4 decades of training in his life.
When people like Jim Kelly say that his body was made of steel, they're not joking, man. This guy.
Is he laughing at his own? They were not kidding. His muscles are really made of steel.
Bruce Lee had the most insane body in human history. The body he had in 1973 was, I mean, just something else, okay?
I'm sorry.
Wow.
This guy sounds like he's kind of in love.
Yes, I think so. I somehow imagine this guy sitting at his computer desk, not wearing any shorts and pants, and eating potato chips.
It cannot be described. Just complete animal.
Certainly not with
Could
your
not
English.
touch that guy. The speed, the power he had, I mean, he was untouchable.
Obviously.
He's the closest.
And what's great is how he sources all these things that he's saying. According to so-and-so, well, he mentioned Jim Kelly, right? But then all the other, it's like he'll say something, and then he'll just say a bunch of stuff, like the speed and the, like, where's he getting these facts from?
He
all right?
actually does all the homework.
He does all the homework in his head.
You know what it is?
14 hours a day of homework.
He's a backseat Frank Dukes.
He is a backseat Frank Dukes.
Oh,
He's a
shut the
fabulous.
front door.
Yeah, he's a Walter Mitty. Let's
to
go.
get to a superhuman. But, like I said, the downside
Like I
is
said.
that he had to take these painkillers.
Yes, he had to.
And let me explain something.
Please.
When you work out, if you ever worked out seriously, like I have,
Of course, he has.
when you do serious workout,
If you ever work like I have, I just need you to know I work out seriously. You know how you know? Because I told you. All right. Meanwhile, Beerdy doesn't have a single photo of himself on his channel anywhere, so we got to take this. Finnish Scotsman's word for it.
you put blood pressure in your arteries, okay?
What?
All over your body. And
What?
usually
This is
Okay.
what happens when we work out or when he works
When
out.
he works out, he puts blood pressure in his arteries. All right. I'll tell you what. I'm not a medical man. All right. But something doesn't sound right there.
arteries can handle it, no problem. The weakest arteries in your body are the arteries in your brain, in your head.
Well, I would certainly say the weakest arteries in his body are the ones in his brain, because I would think, in general, the brain is probably the weakest bit on this dude right here.
These get worn out over time. You can get trouble. You can get
Trouble.
small bleedings. You
Small
can get
bleedings.
even ruptures.
Even
But
ruptures. You can get small bleedings.
Yeah, of course.
Even
We all
ruptures.
get those
I get small bleedings all the time in my
Bleedings.
rare.
brain arteries.
Okay, it usually happens later in life. But what did I say? I said that Bruce Lee had
It usually happens later in life. What?
Not when we're
Yeah.
babies.
So basically, everyone dies of blood ruptures
Right.
and
And
bleedings.
bleedings.
But because Bruce Lee had compressed decades of training,
Right, he got it early.
he had fast tracked himself to like age 130
Yeah.
in 2.5 years,
Exactly.
right? That's the problem.
decades of workout in his
Decades.
body, and he was only in his 30s.
Unbelievable.
Because he worked out for 14, 15, 16 hours every day.
He's adding more 14, 15, 16 hours. All right?
It's good. It's
Yeah.
just too good.
It's crazy, man. I mean, how insane is this, right?
I didn't know this was coming.
No, come on. This is
Did you know this was coming?
I've scanned through some. These are actually, to be honest, these are really the first time I'm sitting through these things. Because the problem is, this is super offensive to me because this is just made up gibberish.
65 days a year, okay? So he's wearing out his arteries. the blood pressure pumping to his brain is wearing out the arteries. Now, let's get back to the painkillers.
Yes.
What do painkillers do?
I don't
They
know.
had side effects, right?
No.
One of the side effects is that they loosen the arteries. Okay? The arteries get weakened. They get loose and weak. Now combined,
I'm sorry. You know what else is loose and weak? This video.
Yeah.
the immense blood pressure flowing to his brain from working out every single day for 14, 15, 16 hours.
Oh, geez. I thought he was going to add 17. I was waiting for him to go
We'll
14,
get there.
15, 16, 17.
We'll get there.
By the end of the video,
Yeah.
he's working out for 24 hours for
Combine
sure.
that with the pressure he put in there.
Put
And
in there.
the painkillers. That is a combination
say
that is
killers?
dangerous, okay? That is a killer combination.
Ooh,
So
I like what you
if
did there.
you're sitting there and wondering
I am
how
wondering.
could you have died from simply working out? Well, you need to work out seriously to know, okay? Because if you work out seriously, you're gonna get headaches. If
What?
This is
If you,
the best.
this is all this
This is
made up
the
nonsense.
This is
Yeah,
the
you know,
best.
Arnold Schwarzenegger complained of headaches all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he
course.
quit working out in recent years. Figured after a lifetime of working out, he would finally quit because you know what? Freaking headaches, man. Jesus.
I work out seriously, like my old regiment where I worked out every day. Like Bruce Lee, I used to work out every day. I got serious headaches, like really serious headaches.
Like really serious. You know, sometimes he sounds Finnish. Sometimes he almost sounds German. Sometimes he sounds Eastern. Like you know,
You can't pinpoint.
you can't quite pinpoint it because I'm curious if maybe his accent is fake, also, right?
He might be an army brat.
It's very normal in the martial arts community and
Totally.
bodybuilding, etc. If you work
It's very normal in the martial arts and bodybuilding community. All of my bodybuilding friends have headaches all the time.
It's,
out really, really hard, you're gonna get headaches. It's
Obviously.
normal.
It's normal.
Because you put so much pressure in your arteries in your brain. Okay.
in your
so that
arteries.
is a sign that you need to relax. Go back home, rest for a few days, then get back to work. You know?
you can't relax
Maybe
anywhere else.
maybe only train 10 hours a day.
13.
Bruce did not. He didn't care. He just took a painkiller and he continued. Okay.
Just one.
The problem is, just on sheer math, okay? So if he was training 14 hours a day in this last
7
period of
days
his
a
life,
week,
7 days a week.
365 days a year.
When did he film Big Boss? And when did he film Fist of Fury? And when did he do any of the actual work that he did?
On the other
So he
hours.
did this for a long time, ladies
Long
and
time.
gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So you're
Does he think that saying things like "ladies and gentlemen," like, does he think that like adds a little bit of prestige to what he's saying? It's like
course.
it's a cacophony of bullshit, you know, with like "ladies and gentlemen" and "believe me" thrown in there every now and again.
If he
But
had an English accent, it would.
yes, but I think a tall tale sign is anytime someone says, "Hey, trust me, believe me,"
Yeah.
all right, that's
That's
a
the
sign like
automatic red
nah.
flag.
now you're starting to get the picture here.
Yes, we're starting.
This
to get
is
the
how
picture.
Bruce Lee died. He worked out an insane amount of time and put immense pressure on his arteries in his brains, and eventually
He
he
had
collapsed.
more than
Well,
one
hey.
brain.
on his brains. He had more than one brain.
That's how he died. He got so many brains in his
He had
head.
too many brains. Yeah, that's why he had so many headaches, because he had so many brains.
Too many brains to manage.
You can't control that. That's why he was the original
many.
kung fu genius, man. Because he would have like one brain for kicking, one brain for punching.
Yes,
right?
compartmentalizing.
Another brain for reacting. Right.
Yes.
He put too much pressure on his brains.
And this happened a few times. Not only the day he died, but it happens months before he died, even years before he died. He started having
Months before. Okay.
it was
So it's like he
years.
kind of knows about the May 10th thing, but he's such a non-expert. He can't say like the May 10th incident, which everyone who knows anything about Bruce Lee goes like the May 10th incident. He's like months before and also years before. Yes, because there was also that third incident that we all don't know about.
having crazy headaches.
Crazy.
The painkiller in Betty Ting Pei's apartment, it's complete.
He was in her apartment. The Betty.
I'm
So he walks into Betty Ting Pei's apartment and there's a painkiller sitting on the couch.
Right there.
He's just looking at him. I'm the painkiller in Betty Ting Pei's apartment.
Hey, what's up, man?
You want me? I know you want me. All right, I'd take me.
Completely coincidental, guys. Forget about it. It's completely coincidental. He had collapsed many times before.
Many times.
Painkiller.
Just like he keeps adding hours to how often Bruce Lee trains, like how many hours he trains. Now he's adding more collapses, right? Yeah, no, he collapsed all the time.
I never knew any of this.
But first of all, how could he train 14 hours a day if he's collapsing all the time? Look, none of this makes sense. There's a lot of timeline issues with Beerdy's story here.
He took in that apartment was completely random, okay?
Random.
He had already exerted some energy that day. He already had the headache.
Wow, this Captain Obvious here. He had already exerted some energy. He had gotten out of bed.
Yeah.
He ate breakfast.
Yeah.
He went to the apartment.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. He exerted some energy that day. You know, there's like some days you get here and you haven't exerted any energy yet, and up until the moment you do the podcast, right?
That's my superpower.
Yeah. People bring you on a stretcher to City Wing Chun.
Right out the bed.
Yes. He had it. Okay. So very important, people. He was working out 14 hours a day. Mm-hmm. And then, so I assume then for the remaining 10 hours of the day, he was making movies. Okay. And then he was also taking painkillers, which is giving him bleedings in the brain.
That's another hour or so, right?
He's,
of the painkillers.
yeah, when did he have time to take painkillers with his schedule, right?
And collapsing.
And
the collapses.
he's in 14 hours, he's training, he's collapsing, he's taking pain medicine, 10 hours, he's shooting movies, and he's collapsing all the time.
Yeah.
Remember this, people. He came to her apartment. His head was already hurting, okay?
Wait a minute. When did he have time to go to Betty's apartment between his 14 hours of training and his 10 hours of shooting?
So forget about that bullshit painkiller.
Forget about that bullshit.
It's completely coincidental. He had taken hundreds of types of painkillers in his life. Secondly, the painkiller...
First of all, that's also a pretty stupid thing to say. So not that I believe that Bruce Lee died of painkillers, but to say the painkiller couldn't kill him because he took so many of them. It's like, do you understand how death by painkillers works?
He said he's taken hundreds of different types of painkillers.
That's right.
Is that many painkillers out there?
Oh, there are. Oh, especially in the 70s. You have no idea how many different painkillers were. Aspirin,
like
bigger
fucking
aspirin.
plants and
all right.
flowers.
Morphine. Yeah, you know, it was just like now, like you have so many different things. But, you know, how could he have died of all these painkillers? How could Betty's equagesic kill Bruce Lee? Because he was on that stuff all the time. He was taking drugs all the time. How could more drugs kill someone who takes drugs all the time? So I'm following Beerdy's logic.
It's the most common painkiller in Hong Kong. And Bruce Lee is from...
It's not, okay? So the guy's literally lying here, okay? The equagesic tablet is a combination of aspirin, okay? And the other element in there is called meprobamate, which is like a sedative. It's sometimes taken for people who are like, they need to calm down. It's taken maybe for people who have some kind of depression or whatever. And that meprobamate is also called Milltown. That was they were called Milltown pills. They're since basically off the market because they did find that they actually do have a lot of adverse side effects. And so there is a thing that, you know, there could actually be something in that meprobamate, not in the aspirin bit or whatever, right? But for him to say like, oh, this pill was normal in Hong Kong, and he was from Hong Kong. That's why. No, that pill was a prescription. And the funny thing is, people say, oh, Betty gave him that equagesic, and he had never taken that before. Bruce Lee was prescribed Milltown, those pills with the meprobamate, from his doctor when he got the sweat glands removed. So he had already been taking that stuff. So it wasn't like he took something from Betty that he had never taken before. Right? This dude doesn't even know what he's talking about. Oh, this was a pill they had everywhere in Hong Kong. It was a prescription, you jackal. Knuckle.
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
So he had taken those types of painkillers for years and years. But forget about the painkiller. It's bullshit.
Forget about it.
He died from.
Hey, if you take painkillers for years and years, forget about dying from painkillers.
No. You're immune.
Yeah, you're immune. If you take painkillers all the time, you will never die. Because most people who die from painkillers only did it once.
Well, just anything, right? If you drink all of your life, you won't die from alcoholism.
Exactly,
No,
exactly. It's
Do
the people who
cocaine,
drink
right?
once.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cocaine
Yes.
as well.
Painkiller. It was completely coincidental, okay? So forget about it. It was a long time.
How many times is he going to tell us to forget about it?
I
After a
can't
while, you
forget
start to
about
wonder.
it.
Yeah, it's kind of like he said, like, hey, man, stop looking under there. Hey, man, stop look. There's nothing under there. No, why are you looking under there? No, man. Hey, man, forget about it, man.
about it.
Forget about it, man. All right, I'm Beerdy.
It's hard to
Okay,
forget
trust
about
me,
it.
I'm Beerdy. All right.
Coming, guys. This, like I said, when he made a decision that I am going to work out for the rest of my life with crazy intensity and take painkillers instead of relaxing, like the doctor said, that is the day Bruce Lee died. He died years before he
Years before, okay? Years. Okay. And again, timeline, okay? Bruce Lee, hurt his back in 1970, all right? He died in 73, but he's like, years and years before. It's like he clearly knows, he's seen Dragon the Bruce Lee story. I'll give him that, all right?
Yes.
And then he's heard about what other people are talking about, and then what he does is he hears what people who know about Bruce Lee are talking about, but he doesn't research what they're actually saying. And he's seen Dragon the Bruce Lee story, and in this cavernous gap in between, he just makes up stuff. So anyway, that is one of the longer videos on his channel, and I really don't feel like watching any more of that because I think I just forgot my entire childhood. I think I lost so many brain cells on that. Okay, but there was another one here, and this is crazy, okay?
All right, let's get to it.
Okay, so obviously one of the things he does is he does a lot of clickbaity type stuff, all right? Like Bruce Lee destroys karate grandmaster with one punch. Now, mind you, okay, there is like there's an algorithm. Like, for example, I'm not a professional YouTuber, so for me it doesn't matter if we don't have a bajillion followers. I mean, I earn a living teaching martial arts. I earn a living as an author. I earn a living doing other things, right? The Kung Fu Genius podcast barely pays for the Kung Fu Genius podcast, okay? Barely pays for the damn mic I have here or whatever, right? But it's very easy because you know what the avenue is to go the cheap kind of clickbaity route, right? You know, you have like, you know, if we did like, you know, Bruce Lee, you know, destroys Kung Fu Master in 2 movements, right? And I had a crazy thumbnail or whatever. That's the kind of video that people watch. I mean, look, this is a week old. He's got 186K views, right? And when I saw this, you immediately know something is wrong, okay? It says Bruce Lee destroys karate grandmaster with one punch. And when you look at this photo, which is from a demonstration, that's not a karate grandmaster. That's Dan Inosanto, who later became his student. Okay? And so, you know, before Dan Inosanto became a student of BruceLee, he was an Ed Parker black belt and an assistant to Ed Parker.
Yes.
And so very early on, when Bruce had first met Dan, he used him for a demonstration, I believe, at some gathering or tournament or something like that. And that's literally what that photo is there. So, you know, if someone knows anything about Bruce Lee, they're going to see them and be like, dude, that's Dan Inosanto, right? But then you go, but the thing is, you give them the benefit of the doubt because you go, okay, well, maybe there was no photo of that event. So this Beerdy guy is just using that for the thumbnail. Okay, so you go, okay, that's just a thumbnail photo. All right?
Let's give him that.
Yeah. And then you go, but when we click on it, then we'll find out that actually the story is not related to the thumbnail, right?
Okay.
Beerdy.
Welcome to Beerdy, Bruce Lee Central.
Bruce Lee.
Hey everybody, it's Beerdy here. What's going on, guys?
Whoa, Beerdy is coming in hot.
Oh,
Hey, Beerdy, everyone, it's Beerdy here.
Beerdy here.
Think of Beerdy.
Okay, so the photo you're looking at now is the only photo of this incident. So back in the 60s, Bruce Lee was invited to all kinds of karate exhibitions and stuff like that. And he would always be the guy that would give out the trophies at the end of the
Bruce was the guy who would give out the trophies, right? So, you know, because he wasn't earning that much money as Green Hornet, you know, because the Green Hornet, you know, was canceled after 1 season. So how did Bruce Lee earn money? He was the guy who handed out trophies at the end of the tournament.
Yeah.
Congratulations, little Johnny, on your, you know, 2nd place in forms. I'm Bruce Lee. I'm Kato, right? That's what he was. That was his thing.
Traveling the world.
But you see what's going on with Beerdy, okay? He doesn't And look, there's so much information available about Bruce Lee right now. Like, if you wanted to know what this photo was about, you could easily go to a book or something and find, okay, obviously this is Joe Louis, this is at a tournament or whatever, and you see that Bruce Lee was a guest there because he already had a bit of clout because he had done the Green Hornet, right? So Bruce was like the special guest because he was like a bit of a celebrity, right? But this Beerdy guy doesn't even know that. So he's like, oh, he's the guy who's handing out trophies, right? Just because there's like a photo of him giving Joe Louis a trophy or something like that. So he takes that one photo and he goes, Bruce is the guy who handed out trophies at the tournament.
That was
and
his
you're
thing.
like, yeah, that was his thing. That's what he did, you know? Unbelievable.
Exhibition. And sometimes tournaments too. And
Not only exhibitions, but also tournaments.
Yeah, sometimes.
Because sometimes, right? Because, you know, in the 60s, there were so many karate exhibitions that weren't tournaments.
Yes, sir.
And tournaments that weren't exhibitions. It's like church and state.
Yeah.
All right?
in the mid 60s, when this photo was taken, Bruce Lee was at one of those exhibitions or tournaments. We don't really know which one it is.
No, we do know.
This
You don't know.
story comes from a guy, a Kempo karate legend, Holmes. The photo and the story comes from him. He was there when this happened.
This is the problem. So first of all, people who don't know anything about Bruce Lee, they're not going to know, right? Because they're hearing a story and they see this photo and this photo seems super legit, right? But anyone who's like slightly in the know is going like, what Kempo karate guy is he talking about? Like, because you see, Beerdy never sources where he gets anything from. He never says like, so-and-so, Leo Fong told this story on, or I heard this from so-and-so. It's always coming out of his ass. Okay?
Live.
All right.
And he said that during the exhibition and the tournament, this guy Baxter, that's the guy in this photo, he was just...
Wait.
No, Beerdy.
wait.
No, Beerdy. I'm going to talk to you directly because I know you're watching this. That guy in the photo is Dan Inosanto. He's not Baxter.
That's not Grandmaster Baxter?
It's not Grandmaster Baxter, okay?
That's not Grandmaster
Yeah, and if you
Baxter.
say he's a Grandmaster, then you need to use the proper title and call him Grandmaster Baxter, all right? If you want to be respectful, okay? All right?
Sounds like a really bad English hip hop MC.
Exactly. Well, I mean, when you know what it was. I can imagine when Beerdy is making up this BS story.
Right.
He's going, okay, I need to give a name for this grandmaster, not knowing, dude, this is Dan Inosanto, one of the famous, if not the most famous student of Bruce Lee, who just happens to be wearing a karate gi because this is most likely from the Kempo days, right?
Yeah.
And then he's going, Baxter, and he's going like, he's a grandmaster, right? Because his first instinct was probably to say the guy's name is Bader.
Oh.
And then he goes, Grandmaster Bader. That doesn't work. The guy's name is Baker, like Bob Baker.
Yeah.
Grandmaster Baker. That doesn't. Master Baker doesn't sound. Baxter. That works. All right. So you can almost feel the wheels turning as he concocts this fake story. Right.
saying shit about Bruce Lee.
Saying shit about
because
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee was
Hey, who's saying shit about Bruce Lee? Beerdy, you're the one saying shit about Bruce Lee, okay?
Yeah.
Baxter is a made-up guy that you made up. The photo is Dan Inosanto. The guy who's saying shit about Bruce Lee, who's making shit up, is literally you, okay?
holding an exhibition of himself doing like, the 1-inch punch, the one finger push-ups, etc., etc.
One finger push-up.
And he was saying...
The one finger push-up, right? Bruce was famous for those one finger push-ups,
Of course.
and but you know what he doesn't mention is Bruce could also do the no-handed push-ups too.
Yeah. Look, ma, no hands.
Where he would just breathe himself away from the floor.
That is all nonsense. It's just for show, and he's a nobody. He doesn't really know martial arts, etc., etc. He was saying that to Holmes during the exhibition and the tournament.
Oh, to Holmes, okay.
And finally,
so, that's right. So I wasn't sure because this guy's Beerdy's accent's a little on the salty side. So the Kempo karate guy who gave him this information was Holmes, okay?
Larry Holmes?
No, I think John Holmes.
I think that's more likely, isn't it?
Okay, just making sure. We got to clarify that.
You guys didn't know that before John Holmes had a prolific career in adult films,
Right.
he was a Kempo karate master.
That's right, like Elvis.
That's right.
at the end, when Bruce Lee was given out the trophies and Bruce Lee held a little speech, after the little speech, this guy, this Baxter,
My last name's Lee, Bruce Lee. I'm very happy to hand out the trophies.
This Baxter.
This Baxter. Look,
goes
he mixes
up
this shit up.
on the podium here where this little microphone is, and we don't know what they said to each other, but
No, we
they
don't
got
know.
into a heated
Wait. No, Birdie, I'm pretty sure we don't know what they said because this entire thing you made up.
debate or whatever, and the Baxter tried to grab Bruce Lee, and in just a fraction of a second, Bruce Lee landed a brutal punch. And that's what you're seeing here in this picture. This guy just basically collapsed.
First of all,
like a sweep.
First of all, it looks like a sweep at a trip. All right. So the problem is that Birdie isn't even really good at looking at photos and seeing what's going on. Okay. So when you look at this photo here, it's pretty obviously a sweep or a trip. It looks something like very self-defense oriented, like Dan Inosanto grabs his lapel and then he does some kind of sweep or something like that, right? But he's saying no, it's a punch. First of all, it's obviously a sweep or a trip. Second of all, Bruce's hand is open.
All right, and plus, it happened in a millisecond.
It happened in a millisecond.
So the cameraman was ready.
Oh, the cameraman was ready. That's why this is the only photo, right? But you see kind of the pathology of how Birdie makes up these stories. He sees that mic stand in the background. And he goes, and Bruce Lee was giving one of his speeches after giving the trophy. It's like you see that he's trying to create facts that fit with the photo, but he's literally just looking at the photo and making shit up, right?
That's right.
All right. It's just like you ever see Anchorman? Mm-hmm. And you know the dude, Steve Carell's character, he's like, I love lamp. And it's like, are you just looking at things in the room and saying you love them, right? Okay, I think that's Birdie's method of storytelling. There's a mic.
Of a second, Bruce Lee landed a brutal punch. And that's what you're seeing here in this picture. This guy just basically collapsed from one punch. I'm guessing this is the 1-inch punch he landed on him.
I'm guessing this is the 1-inch punch. He doesn't even know that the 1-inch punch is a demonstration as opposed to like an actual fighting movement, right? It's like, yeah, so the guy grabbed Bruce Lee and then Bruce Lee put his hand on him and gave him a brutal, as this guy says, a brutal, all right, in that old Scottish accent, 1-inch punch. And his hand was somehow open after he did it, and it looks like he's tripping him. But yeah, there's a lot of things that don't make sense.
We don't know what was said, but probably something like, hey, Bruce, that 1-inch punch of yours is bullshit. And Bruce was like, really? Okay, here, take one. And then he ate.
Oh my, here, take one. All right. But I mean, like, the funny thing is, none of this stuff is like sourced. And unfortunately, there's a huge group of people on YouTube that are not very educated in terms of this stuff. Maybe they saw a Bruce Lee movie and they're not really into, like, we have to be careful as kind of Bruce Lee snobs to not to not assume that everyone is so into this stuff as we are. But let's just say there are very casual Bruce Lee fans out there who do want to know about some of this stuff. And this channel is big, it's got a lot of views, so they're going to look at this video and in a very uncritical way, they're going to go, oh, okay, so the guy said his, and then these stories get told and it's like, oh, dude, do you know that Bruce was at a tournament once and someone said, like, yeah, the inch punch is bullshit, and then he tried to grab him and Bruce in-punch him and hit him to the ground, and that guy was a grandmaster and his name was a Grandmaster Bastard. You know, it's a true story, man. I heard it on YouTube. Some guy named Birdie told me.
Well, you see, sorry to interrupt. Yeah. The thing about it is it goes back to what you were saying a second ago. He literally goes, we don't know what's going on here. It's probably a 1-inch punch. And then the story goes, he says, he probably said that 1-inch punch is bullshit, so he was like 1-inch punch.
Yes.
Oh, that's what the story is.
Yeah, you literally see that he's a complete fantasist and a fabulist. Mm-hmm. That all he's doing is he's kind of going like, he probably said that, and then whatever. And the problem is it's not clear from the context if, I mean, it's clear to us because we know it's all fake that he's just kind of riffing. Right, but for people watching this who are not looking at this in a very deep way, they're going to go, oh, yeah, so it was like something about the inch punch. Like their takeaway would be it's something about the inch punch.
My theory, he's a time traveler.
He's a time traveler. Oh, yeah? I don't know. That sounds like a Dreisen theory.
My theory is that he is a bullshit.
He's a bullshit on. That Bruce Lee would, like he said to Dan Lee. You know, and if you hear the unedited version of the Dan Lee Bruce Lee phone conversation, it's like, all these bullshit artists like Wong Jack Man and Beerdy.
Yeah.
The 1-inch punch, and that's
Oh
the
my
end
God! Look, he
result.
says Baxter
This
right
is
after
what
the
happens
incident,
when-
and
Wait,
that is another
That's
karate
not
guy.
Baxter.
That's literally another guy.
Oh my God. After the
Oh my
incident, he said,
God. Oh my God. He's literally, look, first of all, the guy that was Dan Inosanto, this is someone else. And first of all, if Bruce had really given him a brutal 1-inch punch, okay, then he wouldn't be sitting there, cross-legged, like, everything is cool after. I mean, come on. This is literally made up stuff. I mean, this is some nonsense here, okay? So I've pretty much had enough of that video here. Okay, and then, but the one real crowning achievement, and I think, and look here, you can even look at the thumbnail. Bruce Lee's only real fight ever recorded, full fight. This is the demonstration that he gave with Taki Kimura, and then he writes, only real fight ever recorded. Look, and he got 24 million views on that 1 year ago. Do you know how much YouTube ad revenue that is? This guy's literally making up fake stuff, but this is the video. Where, okay, it's one thing, all right, this dude is making up all this stuff about Bruce Lee. He's literally looking at a photo and he's making up stories, right? But then when you look at this, I trained like Bruce Lee for 1 year, then this happened. First of all, that is a classic clickbait title right there. 976K views. It's pretty impressive. And look at this thumbnail there, right? Okay, it's like the photo there, right? I almost died, right? This is pure clickbait right here, right?
His bodies are amazing.
His body's amazing, right? The problem is, where's his head, bro? All right. For some reason, Beerdy is a champion in IFC according to his bio.
Champion, former champion, or current?
No, former champion, but you cannot Google him because he's not on there. And also, he never has a photo on any of his on either his Twitter page or his YouTube channel. And whenever he shows himself, he doesn't show his face because these are clearly photos of
maybe
other
he doesn't
models.
want like bad publicity.
Yeah, but the problem is, look, if Dre Eisen, all right, was an MMA champion in something, and you decided to make a channel where you said you were a champion of whatever league you were in, but then you, oddly enough, did not want to show your face and show your name. But if you're already a champion, everyone can see that. Why wouldn't you want people to know who you are and where you are? Because it's completely made up.
Damn.
So here's the crazy thing. The YouTube
I almost believe this.
The YouTube algorithm is very smart, okay? Because it looks at video. Unfortunately, now that I've been looking at this shit, probably for the next few days, YouTube is going to keep suggesting this garbage to me until the 80th time I haven't clicked on it. Then YouTube kind of gets the point, right? Because the interesting thing is, like, no one who's actually really into Bruce Lee follows this channel, but yet he can still get 24 million views because these are the masses, the people that don't know anything, and also probably a bunch of Bruce Lee haters going on there, and he's reinforcing that stuff on them with these kind of bullshit fantasist stories, right? But the one thing about this video about that he trained like Bruce Lee is this video did come up in my feed, I want to say about a year ago when it first came out. And I remember I clicked on it, and within 45 seconds to 1 minute, I knew the thing was bullshit and I turned it off. And then YouTube never recommended another one of Beerdy's videos to me again. All right. And then only recently, because people keep mentioning about it, did I decide to take a look at this guy because he has a crap ton of views. And this guy is literally just lying through his teeth and making stuff up. OK, so here we go. This is crazy.
Hey everybody, it's Beerdy here.
Beerdy here.
What's going on, guys? Okay, so today is the day. I'm finally making a video on the year that I worked out like Bruce Lee.
The year that he worked out like Bruce Lee.
An entire year.
For an entire year. The year that he worked out like Bruce Lee for an entire year.
17 hours?
17 hours, right? Okay, here we go.
365 days, 7 days a week, 6 hours a day.
6 hours a day.
So
that's reasonable.
Why did I do this?
Why did I do this? Well, I'm going to think, Beerdy, you didn't actually do it, okay? I'm going to say you never did it. You never will do it. And this video, like every other one on your channel, is fake.
That's the big question. Well, a long time ago, decades ago actually, I had a theory on how Bruce Lee died. And you guys know the theory.
So the thing that you can also tell that he's kind of constantly lying through his teeth is the non-specificity of everything he said. Decades ago. How old is this freaking dude, by the way? All right. First of all, who ever quantifies like like in the 80s? That was a few decades ago, right? But if you ever tell a story from the 80s, you go decades ago.
Yeah.
All right. Who literally talks like that, right? And then, of course, look here, he's flexing on his video that has 2.1 million views, the real cause of Bruce Lee's death.
I said that he died from overtraining. And
decades of training.
In science, you have a theory. Then you prove that theory.
Okay, in science, you have a theory, okay? I have a theory, too. Beerdy's channel is bullshit.
Either
We gotta
wrong
prove
or
that
right.
theory.
That's how science works. It's that simple.
Oh, it's that simple.
So how could I prove my theory?
I don't know.
Well,
How can you?
I can't unless I do it myself. So that was my...
Oh, my God. So, okay. So let me get the gist of this video. Bruce Lee dies from overtraining. So he's going to try to overtrain like Bruce Lee. So if he dies, he proves his theory. But somehow he's still alive. So he didn't actually prove the theory.
He didn't
Perhaps
prove
he
shit.
didn't train
Right.
like Bruce Lee.
Maybe he didn't train like Bruce Lee because he was training 6, 7, 19 hours a day.
Yeah.
And Bruce only trained 2.
starting point. So, okay, I said to myself, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm young, I'm fresh, I'm strong, I'm hungry. Let's do this. So
Listen how he talks.
he's-
I said to myself, I'm young, I'm fresh. It's like he's constantly, he's complimenting himself because no one in his world will do it. So he's going, I'm young, I'm fresh, I'm strong, all right? I'm dope, I'm the baddest MC ever around, right? Okay, but it's like because he is a Walter Mitty.
When was he
He's
the IFC champion? Decades ago.
Decades ago, he was the IFC champion.
When he was
yeah.
young, fresh, and strong. but
Exactly.
he's still young, fresh, and
He's
strong.
still young, fresh, and strong.
A year ago
even
this
though,
came out.
yeah, he's still young, fresh, and strong because, but he did this decades ago. So
Yeah.
the problem with Beerdy is he's got timeline problems,
Oh,
right?
man.
And then even look in the video, he's got this scene here with Samo, and then this is actually not Bruce Lee. This is his stunt double Yunhua.
Yeah.
And it's like he's trying to show Bruce Lee's awesome athletic prowess, and then uses a scene where Bruce Lee is actually
These
stunt
are the
doubled by
rules.
Yunhua.
365 days
Okay.
a year, 7 days a week.
Wait.
No cheat.
365 days a year. He just said you have to do it 365 days a year.
Wow.
Okay? 7 days a week.
Days, no cheat days, no nothing. 6 hours a day minimum. And
Wait, he said, okay, 360. So here are the rules of the training. 365 days a year. Okay, so not 365 days a month. 365 days a year. Okay.
Okay.
7 days a week. 6 hours a day. He goes, no cheating, no nothing. I'm pretty sure that for 365 days he did nothing.
absolutely no kinds of supplements or cheating.
No supplements or what is he talking about? No, I can't take vitamins. You're gonna work for 6 hours a day and you can't take vitamin C, homie. You can't take magnesium. All
no
right.
zinc.
No zinc.
What's up?
Or what does he mean by supplements? No steroids, I guess. Right? Yeah, okay.
Using like tablets or whatever.
Tablets?
Nothing like that.
Does he realize that tablets is just a way to ingest something, but it's actually not something itself? Don't take tablets. Like if you have a headache, don't take an aspirin.
No.
All
take
right.
a tablet.
We got to take a lot of painkillers to make sure you don't die of painkillers. All right. How do you not die of an overdose of painkillers? You take a lot of painkillers because then you'll never die of them.
Make sure it's in tablet
Nothing.
form.
No steroids. No nothing.
Nothing. No nothing.
And
Definitely no
the
nothing.
diet is the same diet that
I would definitely say Beerdy knows nothing.
Bruce Lee had. It's pretty much basic. It's rice and water and chicken.
Rice
I
and
mean, it
water
doesn't
and
get more-
chicken. Try oyster beef, son. That was his favorite Chinese dish. Rice and chicken and
Rice
water.
and water and
all right?
chicken.
Dude. I have at home some receipts, some copies of receipts that
his
Bruce Lee had
meals.
from
Yeah.
that Bruce Lee had from restaurants he was at in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And he was not eating rice and chicken and water. All right? Going to the Peninsula Hotel with this like world famous cuisine. He goes, waiter, all right? You know, he's saying, mgoy, you know, team choi, I want to order food. Okay. Rice, chicken, and water. Okay? Can you imagine the Chinese waiters just looking at him, right? Huh? All right. Okay. No cheating. All right.
Basic than that.
Doesn't get more basic than that.
Okay,
I'll tell you, it does get more basic than that, but it never gets more made up than that.
Oh, yes.
theory was this. Bruce Lee died from overtraining. You have...
I thought he was going to say Bruce Lee died from eating too much chicken and
I
rice.
was gonna say that same shit. It wasn't OD on chicken.
Yeah, because I also have a feeling that very much like Beerdy's kind of made up stories, I can imagine that if you took the mind-numbing undertaking of watching all of his videos and writing down all the stuff he says, I can imagine that there's just a brutal inconsistency among all of his videos. You know, like in terms of what he says. Like, so if this had been like the other video says he died from overtraining, and then this video says he died from eating too much chicken and rice, you'd be like, okay, it makes sense.
Lack of adrenal production when you overexhaust your body.
Overexhaust.
And
as opposed to when you underexhaust your body. Okay, look at this. He puts this scientific-looking shit on here, right? And of course, he uses the whole adrenal thing because what is he doing? He's just invoking maybe some stuff from Tom Bleeker's book, which is also a lot of the things in that book are also questionable. Tom Bleeker's book, while he definitely had some inside knowledge about a lot of things, there are a lot of things in Tom Bleeker's book where it's also like, well, Mr. Bleeker, where did you actually get this information from? Where they don't say, right? And look, he thinks he can put this thing on here, and now suddenly
that's legit.
Yeah, he's making it legit, right? Look at that. That's like a real graph and shit, right? But this is not what you call scientific. This is what you would call scientistic. All right? Yeah.
The HPA axis to compensate for the ongoing chronic stress, like Bruce Lee was doing, that extreme stress to his body. And this leads to adrenal exhaustion and lack of cortisol and other vital organs, hormones, I mean, to the organs. And this affects the organic system. It affects your organs.
Oh, it affects the organic system and the organs.
I thought you said orgasmic.
No. It affects the organic system. All right. You know, you have the circulatory system,
right,
the nervous system,
of course,
all right, and you have the organic system. Okay.
You got to keep it organic, bro.
No, the organic system is the system for all your organs, right? You have the organs do things individually, but then you have the organic system, which I think is just you being alive. All right.
It affects your brain.
It definitely affects his brain.
It reduces the sympathetic tone and overall automatic...
Sympathetic tone. So while Bruce was stressed, he didn't have a sympathetic tone. You know, he would just ask for things very gruffly.
No.
Shut up, what are you looking at? I don't like you. I don't have a sympathetic tone.
I don't got time to be sympathetic to your ass.
I'm overexhausted. I don't have a sympathetic tone. Stop talking to me. Get out of here. I don't like your face.
Too much chicken.
Eating too much chicken and rice. You'd be this upset if you were only eating chicken and rice and water. Jerk face.
Function on your metabolic rate and cardiovascular function.
Wow, this guy can definitely read a lot of words of things he doesn't know what he's talking about.
No, all of this combined would lead ultimately to Bruce Lee having cerebral edema and the swelling of the brain that caused his death.
It's just so clear.
That's the theory.
That's
That's what I had as a theory. And I started out after about 6 months at the halfway point. And man, I was feeling.
Now look at this. This is where you see this is fake. Okay.
There's no other way to explain it.
So first of all,
I was feeling just.
He has a photo here of this jacked dude. Okay. All right, and like you look at this guy, and this guy here is very, very strong.
Straight out of Mortal Kombat.
But the thing that I don't understand is why is Beerdy not showing his face? All right.
Ah, man.
Wouldn't you want to also show your face, or is it something he doesn't want to get called out or have anyone recognize that he's basically making money off of clickbait? So this is the proof that he can't show himself because he's making money off of fake clickbait videos.
Well, Bruce Lee's face is there, so that's enough.
That's enough, right? And see, he puts this photo, which he pretends is him there, as if somehow this puts him on the, like, this guy is such a fantasist, right? Okay, but here's the thing, Dre. Not to make things weird between us, okay?
Yo.
But I watched this video. This is one of the few that I don't think I watched it all the way through. I actually cannot get through an entire Beerdy video all the way through, okay? But I want you to look at the shape of the abs, and I want you to look at this dude's nipples. Okay? And just sear that into your mind. Look at those nipples. Look at those abs.
Done.
Okay? Because he's got another photo of himself later. All right?
Just completely amazing. I felt invincible.
I felt invincible.
I was thinking like, man, this is how Bruce Lee felt. You know, this is how Bruce Lee felt.
Listen to this guy pretend through his fake fantasy world that for 6 months he trained exactly like Bruce Lee. And then he goes, this is how Bruce Lee felt. Motherfucker, you done never felt like Bruce Lee, okay?
This is at the 6-month point, though.
This is at the 6-month point. Can you imagine getting these kind of gains in 6 months?
Oh, yes.
What a freaking dope. What a dope.
Okay.
All right? Like, even if you got all newbie gains, you would not look like this after 6 months. First of all, whoever this dude is in this photo here is 100%, you know, he's juiced to the tits, okay? This is, in my opinion, and I'm not an expert on this, I would not say this is a natural physique, although it could be wrong. Someone may, you know, I don't know what this guy's genetics are, but just like me spitballing it, I would say this guy's probably not natural, but
One out of 1,000.
but he could, but you have genetic freaks out there, whatever. But to say that this kind of body, now, of course, this Beerdy said, well, I've been training my whole life, and so he's not starting from zero or whatever, but I'm like, I don't know, but I love how like he's such a fantasist. He's like, I felt like Bruce Lee, and in his mind it's like me, Bruce Lee, same. Bruce Lee, I, same. We are same. We are same. It's like he's living out this kind of fantasy, and the problem is that the number of views that this moron, that this liar, that this fraud gets does nothing but reinforce this in his poor narcissistic mind.
And I was doing 6 hours a day, not 10.
You were doing
Bruce Lee
nothing.
was doing 10. But
Bruce Lee was doing 10. Bro, was it 12? Was it 14? Was it 16?
15? Yeah.
Or was it 10? You're not even consistent. You need to at least, in your little Beerdy universe that you're created, you need to keep the different pieces consistent.
the thing
all
is
right?
this, Bruce Lee was using steroids.
Obviously.
To quell his pain, his nerve pain. And
Okay. All right, face. All right.
Oh!
Okay. I want you to repeat after me.
Okay.
Okay. Corticosteroids are not anabolic steroids. Okay. I want you to repeat that, Beerdy. Corticosteroids, i.e., cortisone shots that he got for his back. Corticosteroids are not anabolic steroids, though they both have steroids in the title, okay? I, many years ago, for my shoulder, had gotten corticosteroids injection, and I did not look like Bruce Lee the next day, okay?
That's why one shoulder is bigger than
That's why one shoulder's totally jacked, bro. But Bruce was injecting the corticosteroids all over himself, so he was like numb and had no inflammation, right? Okay? Corticosteroids are not anabolic steroids, okay? All right. But definitely he read Bleeker's book.
you guys decide, okay, if this compensates or not. Because what I'm saying is that I'm not going to train 10 hours a day because I'm not going to take any form of steroids or painkillers.
But what he's saying is, Bruce trained 10 hours a day and took steroids. And this dude that he took this photo off of Google, which is definitely not him, that guy has a very impressive physique. And I would say, first of all, I wouldn't think this physique is natural. I would probably think this guy is enhanced. But this guy could be a genetic freak anomaly, right? Whatever. But here's the thing. If you look at that guy's physique next to Bruce Lee, this guy is actually more muscular than Bruce Lee, because Bruce Lee was a lot thinner and a lot more striated. So he's almost like saying, like, look, Bruce Lee trained 10 hours a day and took steroids, and I trained 6 hours a day and didn't take steroids and ended up being more jacked than Bruce Lee, all right? So it's like, dude, please.
Whatever. I didn't touch anything, guys.
Yes.
I really mean that. Not even creatine. Nothing.
Not even creatine.
Because creatine is like all over the place. And
well, first of all, creatine's not even a banned substance anywhere, right? And it's ridiculous, right? But I love, like, dude, first of all, you have to realize the hilarity of this thing. This story is completely made up. And he's like saying about what he did and didn't do while posting a photo of someone else. Dude, this is a made up story. What the f*** are you talking about, buddy?
Just regular working out.
Regular
and food.
working out.
That's all.
Rice,
Nothing.
chicken,
I touched
and water.
nothing.
Nothing.
Well, I took like a multivitamin.
Oh, of course.
That's about it.
Oh, that's about it.
But Bruce Lee took these corticosteroids for his
I took a multivitamin. What a dick.
pain. So I'm saying that maybe that compensates the 10 hours. I don't know. You guys decide in a.
A multivitamin compensates?
Oh, that's the secret, though.
That's the secret, you know. Bruce Lee didn't have to take corticosteroids and train 10 hours a day if he just laid off the creatine and took a multivitamin.
it.
The problem is one thing is there's no through thread with this guy because he's literally just looking at photos and making stuff up as he goes along.
Section below. Does my 6 hours equate to 10 hours workout? I don't know. I don't think so. I think Bruce Lee was just crazy.
I think that guy wasn't you. I think that guy wasn't you.
Yes.
What is it like to be a grown man and make stuff up like this? I mean, like, how do you live with yourself? Oh, I get it. You don't have your real name. You don't show yourself. And that's how you live with yourself.
What sucks is kids are watching this.
Kids are
they're
watching
getting
this,
influenced by this.
And they think that they need to train 6 hours a day so they can look like some random dude that was taken off of Google.
10 hours was just insane. Like what I did was insane, but what Bruce Lee did was a whole other level.
I'm amazing, okay? You got to understand. But Bruce Lee was more amazing. I mean, I'm pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I did what he did, but better in less hours with no steroids.
Yeah.
But Bruce was insane. All right, guys, can we
was a
just
whole
give
nother
it up?
level.
I mean, look at me. I'm amazing.
Yeah.
All right, like it was crazy.
Multivitamin amazing.
Multivitamin, eating But Bruce Lee, man, he was the man. He was the man, all right? I don't mean to say that I'm like Bruce Lee, but I'm kind of like Bruce Lee, all right?
I mean, because here's the deal, guys. The reason I didn't make this video earlier, it's pretty simple. I didn't want to encourage anyone to do this because the end.
He didn't want to encourage anyone to make a fake video of themselves not training like Bruce Lee for a year. Okay? Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I knew that was going to pause there.
Yes. So he didn't want people to get the wrong impression. Watch this video and just think that it's okay to go and make a fake video of yourself not training like Bruce Lee for a year. So he decided to wait and then did the video anyway.
Yes.
Of this journey didn't end well. That's the whole point here. At the middle of the journey,
Oh my God, I think he's going to tell us that he did die.
Yeah, well.
When I died.
But I died.
And he came back.
And then it came back because I did not have decades of workout under me. I'm pretty sure.
I was feeling like $1,000,000. I was feeling amazing. I felt like Bruce Lee. But at the end of the journey, it wasn't so pretty. Because towards the end of this journey, I started noticing something happening in my body.
What?
And all
What did you notice?
He started to notice
Nothing?
he was having feelings. He was having new feelings.
Oh, no.
the
He had
things
never
I
felt before.
explained earlier about the exhaustion of the axis in the body, the metabolic state, I started feeling all of that. I started feeling faint. But
First of all, if you were training 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, with this kind of insane thing, not taking supplements, only taking a multivitamin, I guarantee you would have felt that exhaustion way before 6 months, homie.
Before.
hormones in my bodies weren't cooperating. My muscles, they looked like,
out of
ripped like Bruce Lee, but they felt weak, Something just wasn't right.
This is great.
I was completely ripped like Bruce Lee, but also weak,
And, people at the midway point when I was feeling like Bruce Lee, people didn't even want to spar with me. They didn't want to train with me because I was just half man, half animal. Like
Okay. Okay.
Manimal.
He was a manimal.
Remember Manimal? With the
can't.
face. The face coming out.
That's right. I can't do this anymore.
Oh my God, this is getting so ridiculous. Okay, first of all,
I love it.
he's talking about at this halfway point, he was basically exhausted.
Wait, this is the halfway point, and he kept going for a year.
Right, but people didn't want to spar with him because he was half man, half manimal.
No, half
Okay.
man, half animal,
Half
manimal.
he's a manimal.
He's
All
manimal.
right. All right, and he's a man eater. but he also said that he was exhausted. But people didn't want to spar with him. Like, wait a minute. So who at the gym would be like, yo, man, you see that totally jacked dude over there? Yo, man, why don't you spar with him? He's exhausted. But somehow people are going, yo, man, you see that jacked dude over there? Yeah, he's totally exhausted, but man, don't spar with him. He's a manimal. And now we have a second photo
Here it
of
is.
this guy here.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
here it is.
Here's a second photo of Beerdy,
Wait.
which looks like Cristiano Ronaldo, actually, if I look at
in the
As a
ring.
matter of
He's
fact,
in the octagon, it looks like, too.
yeah, he's in an octagon because he was an IFC champion, don't forget.
True.
And
Yeah,
look,
those dark nipples.
those
bro.
are dark nipples, all right? This is someone else's nipples. Those are different abs.
Yeah.
This is someone else, okay? And again, what's with the not showing your head, Beerdy?
Yeah.
All right? You're
Did
IFC
he
champion.
shave his beard for that?
Yeah, he
photo,
did.
too?
Yeah, he doesn't have a beard
Yeah.
here, but how's he Beerdy without a Beerdy beard?
What-
All right? What happened to your beard,
What
Beerdy?
happened to the beard, Beerdy?
Beard is weird.
Said I really felt like Bruce Lee.
Yes.
I've never felt that strong in my life, and people around me were noticing. They were
Listen,
But he was
it
like-
sounds like
he was-
people around me were saying, people, like, first of all, every time he has a story, he never says, my trainer, so-and-so, my wife, so-and-so, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my friend, the guy I train with at the gym, my training partner. It's always people. Like, literally within his language, he's not coding his bullshit well.
There's something that had to come over here, right? He always says, when I felt like Bruce Lee. Like, how does he know what Bruce Lee felt like?
Exactly.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
oh my God.
He felt like Bruce Lee, so he knows what it's like to be a Chinese actor in Hollywood in the 60s facing racism. That's what he felt. That's what he means, but he felt like Bruce Lee, okay? Because people around him were treating him strange, but not because he was a Chinese guy, because he makes up stories on YouTube.
saying like, you are a beast. I mean, you can enter
Beerdy, no one was saying this about you. You made this up.
any competition right now and win. And I did. I actually won several competitions at the time.
Competitions at the time.
So,
Like what?
but like I said, this
Like what? This sounds very vague, all right?
Eating chicken competition.
Eating chicken and rice competitions, all
War
right?
competition.
Making up fake video competitions.
short, a short 6 months of happiness, because towards the end, it just went downwards, and this instantly proved
It went downwards, much like this video.
my theory that Bruce Lee died from overtraining. And the amazing thing here is that before this, I had amazing respect for Bruce Lee. But after this, I have a completely different level of respect for him.
And consequently, no respect for yourself.
Respected him before, like I respected him for being a great actor, a great martial artist, all of that. But now I respect him for the man he was, for the character he was, for the guy he was. Have you any
He respects him for the man he was and for the guy he was.
idea what kind of incredible freak genetics and extreme discipline and mental acuity you need to have to do 10 hours a day for 7 years? He did that for 7
Where's this 7 years
Where
coming
did the
from?
7 years come from?
But it's only 10 hours, though. Before it was 16.
Because, but then it was
15.
17 hours for a year, or maybe 3 years at some point.
Yeah.
Right. So like now he's conflating all the numbers. And for the record,
Oh, wait.
this is really, really, really descending into homoerotic territory.
Yes.
Like,
So Bruce would have been training like this since 1966, although according to Beardy's other video, he doubled up the training regimen when he hurt his back, which was 1970, which wasn't 7 years before. Like he literally, like, he needs to watch his own videos to stay consistent to his own videos.
years, guys. I did it for 1 year.
No, you
He
didn't.
did it for 7 years, 10
No,
hours
you didn't do it for 1 year. You made it up. This is fake. None of this is real.
a day. Sometimes 14 hours a day, okay? So I did it for 1 year, 6 hours, and at the end, I collapsed. That's what happened. I collapsed.
So he collapsed. So basically, he had a parallel thing to Bruce Lee. So